What's up, everybody? So, as a lot of you probably know, I love immersive entertainment. I love haunted houses, escape rooms, theme parks, really anywhere that transports you to a different reality and makes you experience something different, whether that be through the sets, or the props, or the lighting, or the effects, or the animatronics, or whatever it might be. I really love just experiencing a new reality and just being immersed in it. And as somebody that worked in the haunted house industry for a really long time, I was always trying to think of like, okay, so like what's next? What's the next way I can really blow people's minds and make them experience things that they aren't really used to experiencing otherwise? And for me, I've been obsessed with the idea of augmented reality for the last couple of years because it makes things possible that might not otherwise be possible. Whether that be because an effect would be too expensive to pull off, or it just wouldn't be practical, or you just can't reset it in time for the next people to see it. So I thought it'd be fun today to make some augmented reality effects happen and kind of show you guys a little bit about how AR would work. So right now I've got the latest version of Unity downloading, which I believe would be 6.5, but I'll show you guys the version numbers and stuff once we get into it. And I think the goal today is I want to make an effect of a ghost coming through a wall. And I feel like that's a good effect to do. One, because it can literally drop in anywhere. All I need is a flat wall and an anchor point, which I'll explain later. But once that happens, I can just have a ghost coming through any wall I want. So I'll jump in and I'm going to build this all to run off of my phone. So I'll just be showing you guys screen recordings of the app that I build. But this can also be built to go through AR glasses or headsets or anything really. I just don't have any of that. So once this finishes downloading and updating, we'll jump in, we'll get started, and I'll show you guys some fun stuff. Alright, so as you can see here, I've got Unity 6.5 downloaded. Here's the exact version number that I'm using. But I can go into Projects, New Project, and for this I'm going to use the AR mobile template. And we're just going to call it Ghost Project. Ghost Project. Great project. Now this is going to take a minute for it to get through and open up the Unity engine here, so... And we're back. Alright, so that took maybe about 5-10 minutes for that to open up. And now we're in the AR templates demo. And the first thing I'm going to do here is basically nothing. I'm going to go into Build Profiles. I am going to click Android, and I'm going to switch platform. And again, we're going to give this another little while to load. Okay, so as you can see now, under platforms here next to Android, it says active. And while that was happening, I went onto my phone and I turned on developer mode on my phone, USB debugging, and a few other things. So that hopefully, once this finishes thinking here, I can find my phone in the device menu, and that way when I click build, it builds and loads directly onto my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press build and I'm going to publish this app to my phone, and I'm going to test that everything works, and we'll move forward from there. Alright, so I'm on my phone here. The AR Ghost project has downloaded, so I can open up this app made with Unity, and then it says let's get started. So what this does is it scans for surfaces. You can see it's picking up the counter here and the floor, and what this app will let me do is I can tap to place, and I can place objects down. So that cube is going to sit on the counter right there, and then you can see that that cube is anchored in place. So now from here we know that this test app works. So what we can do is we can go back onto my computer and keep building this. Alright, so the way AR works, or at least the way we're going to have AR work, is through image tracking. And what image tracking is doing is while the app is running, it's scanning the scene for images that it knows. And once it detects one of these images, it knows where and how big to spawn the content in relation to that image. So for example, what we're going to use is a post-it note. I've used this before on one of my projects and it works with varying success, but it's just, it's easy. But I'm going to draw a very high contrast image on this. Think something like a QR code or something like that that the computer can detect. And then from there, it's going to be like, oh, this post-it note is 3 inches by 3 inches. So the content is this much bigger, this much smaller, and offset from the post-it note so much. And, if the post-it note is detected really close, it's like, oh, I gotta spawn the content really big and make it really big. If it's really far away, it's like, oh, I detected that, but that's over there, it's smaller. So it just helps place the content. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw something on here, and then I'm gonna take that image, import it into Unity, and then tell Unity what this image is and its size. Alright, so I finished my drawing. As you can see, it's very bold black lines, very high contrast. Hopefully something that the AR app should pick up on fairly quickly. The next step for this piece is I need to photograph it from as dead on of an angle as I can. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to put my phone on something like a cup or something like that, just elevate it above and just take a straight on picture. And then crop it to the exact size of the image, and then import it into Unity and tell Unity the exact size of this post-it note, and that should be everything I need to do for my reference image. And then from there, I'll check if that's working, and then we can work on getting this to spawn specific things. Okay, so now that we have our post-it note all drawn out, there's a couple things I need to do. So first I'm going to go under Assets here, and I'm going to click XR, and I'm going to go to Create, Reference Image Library. And the other thing I'm going to do here is, there we go, I'm going to drag that into there, and then I'm going to go into my reference image library, add image, drag and drop my reference image. I'm going to hit specify size, and the post-it note is 3 inches by 3 inches in real life, which in meters is about 0.0762, and then it won't let me get X and Y exactly the same because the texture isn't the same up here. But it should work well enough for what we're doing. So that is all working here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my sample scene here, XR origin. There's a couple things I need to add. So AR tracked image manager is the first one. Now when it's asking for the serialized library, I'll drag my reference image library over here. And I'm going to set that to 1. And then I need to create a cube. We're going to position it at 0. 0, 0, and have the scale be 0.1 all around. Get back here. And then under Assets, I'm going to create a new folder. Name it Prefabs. I'm going to drag my cube. Okay. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Create, Empty C# script. And then paste this, Control S to save it. And then I'm going to rename this image, image tracking controller. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Add Component. I'm going to add my script. It's going to use my AR tracked image manager, and it's going to use my cube as my prefab. So now that that is all in place, it should take my reference image and see that and spawn my cube. So we're going to go back to File, Build Profiles, and I need to plug my phone in. But I'll plug my phone in and I'll build, and I'll show you guys the app. So now we open up this app. It should pick up. Yeah, that worked perfectly. Picked up the post-it note and spawned the cube. I could probably spawn it a little bit above because the cube just kind of spawned in right exactly in the middle of this, so I can adjust that. And then I know it's this cube because the tap to place cubes look like this. That's just a default cube. So that's working. Everything's anchoring. So now that means that I can start making my post-it note here into some cool things rather than just a cube. So I thought it'd be kind of fun, instead of just finding a ghost asset, why not open Blender for a little bit and make one? I'm not going to make too detailed of a ghost. I'm just making a little demo something for the ghost video. It's been a little while since I used Blender, so I'm probably a little bit rusty. Alright, this little ghost guy. It's not the best ghost ever created, but it's a little ghost guy. Export. Just want STL. I forget what Unity wants, but I'll export it, I'll get it into Unity, and we can make it appear. Alright, so now it should be. We import the AR Ghost Test SBX. I'm going to put it into the scene. Alright, so it is big. So let's go put it to 0.1 maybe? Okay, so that's about as big as my box. Maybe I want a little bit more. 0.3. Yeah, I feel like that'll be a decent size for the ghosts. And then I need to rotate it. No. No. Yes. Okay, and then X, Z, Y. No. 0. Okay, so it imports at 0, 0, 0. I do want it just a little bit. No. No. Where'd it go? 0.4. 0.80. 60. 0.50. We'll go 0.50. Alright. So now that that is all good, I should be able to drag this into prefab. Okay, so now that this is like this, I should be able to drag this into our prefab. Delete this guy. Delete that. Okay. Now, if I go to XR Origin Manager, delete this cube and replace him with that. Okay, so I should be able to build and have the ghost spawn when it sees the post-it note. So let's test that. Now if I open my project, let's see if it'll pick it up. Okay. So it is spawning it. It's just not spawning it in the right place. But there's my guy. There he is. So it seems like he's spawning underneath here. So we'll have to bring him up a little bit. Okay, so I've been editing around some things off screen, but I want to show you guys what I've been doing. So, the problem I was having was the ghost was spawning in, but it wasn't spawning in exactly where I needed it to be. And a lot of that was in Blender. I didn't exactly set the origin of the ghost correctly, so when it spawns into Unity, the origin is not exactly the origin that I set it, so it will be offset. But because the cube was spawning incorrectly, I left the cube in the scene And then you can see in the hierarchy, the cube is the parent of my ghost model. And what that does is allows me to spawn in the cube exactly where I need it to be because that was working. And then the ghost just spawns in relative to where the cube is. So now hopefully once I go to build this, the ghost and cube will be perfectly placed on top of my post-it note. So let's go over and build this and we'll see if it works. Okay, so now hopefully when we open this app, we can get this post-it note to scan. Okay, perfect. Took a minute for it to recognize the post-it note, but it's not perfect lighting conditions and everything here. Alright, so the ghost is anchored perfectly in place where I need it to be. If I walk all the way back, or walk around, it's all staying in place. So this is pretty much what we needed it to do. Okay, so now that we got all that working, this video is starting to get a little bit long, so I think I'm going to call it here. We built a very basic augmented reality system. There's more things we could have done. I think the next thing I would have done personally was make the ghost spawn off screen and make it like float through the post-it note. Like it's kind of floating through a wall into existence. But for now, I think this is a good explanation of kind of the back end of how augmented reality systems work and ways of how it can be implemented a little bit. And hopefully that means in the next video I can kind of just jump straight into the project specific stuff. I do have a few ideas of some cool things I want to pull off with augmented reality, so stay tuned for those videos. But for now, I hope you guys learned some stuff, and stay tuned for the next video. Thanks. Bye.